What's up, YouTubers? So before we get started with this video, on First Take, they're going to be talking about which wide receiver would you rather have, DeAndre Hopkins or Michael Thomas. So let's see what they have to say about that.
DeAndre Hopkins is the most clutch receiver.
For me, before we go to Keyshawn, for me, it would be DeAndre Hopkins is an absolute stud. I got nothing but love for him. But I'm going to go with Michael Thomas. And the reason I'm going to go with Michael Thomas is that 149 receptions, 1,700 plus yards last year. Over the last 2 years, 274 receptions. Oh, by the way, the completion percentage from when Drew Brees targets him to throw him the football, it was 85% in 2000.
That's nasty.
And 19, when he was targeted, he caught the catch. Last year was 80%. I mean, this brother is something special. Make no mistake about it. I know DeAndre Hopkins is that stud, and if you want to blame Bill O'Brien and what's going on in Houston as a reason why I don't feel like he is that dude to that degree, I guess you can. But I think that from a numbers perspective, no matter what the situation calls for, when you know it's time for Michael Thomas to get the ball, he usually gets it. He usually makes it happen. That's the name that comes to my mind first. It would be Michael Thomas.
So it's hard to make an argument against Stephen A. Smith with those type of numbers that Michael Thomas is putting up. So let's take a quick look at all his stats from last year. So Michael Thomas caught the rock 149 times. That's first overall for wide receivers. He caught for 1,725 yards. That's first overall for wide receivers. He caught 9 touchdowns. That's fourth overall for wide receivers. And he averaged 11.6 yards a catch. That's 76th overall for wide receivers. So needless to say, Michael Thomas was the #1 wide receiver in the league last year. I mean, absolutely killed it. But comparing him to DeAndre Hopkins, there's differences there. I would go with DeAndre Hopkins. So let's go over DeAndre Hopkins' stats real quick. So he caught for 103 yards. That's third overall for wide receivers. He caught for 1,165 yards. That's 11th overall for wide receivers. And he caught 7 touchdowns. That's 16th overall for wide receivers. And he averaged 11.2 yards a catch. That's 83rd overall for wide receivers. So, you know, Michael Thomas definitely has better numbers. But I think just overall, I'd probably go with DeAndre Hopkins. Just with the eyeball test alone. I know his numbers don't necessarily support it, but I'd go with DeAndre Hopkins. So let's continue.
Well, what I would say is, Max, you're going to have to take one to the gut real quick. I'm going to have to go with Stephen A. on this one. My nephew can't guard Mike, New Orleans Saints. I mean, Stephen A. gave you all the statistics. I don't need to go over that again. But when you look at his production, he can't be guarded no matter what. He didn't have any other receivers opposite of him in New Orleans at all. I mean, he has a Ted Ginn Jr., but outside of that, he's been dominating things pretty much on his own. Every single time they throw him the football, he's grabbing it. He's catching it. He's muscling dudes. Yeah, people say he may not be the fastest wide receiver in the National Football League, but you don't have to be Tyreek Hill to be productive. And he is extremely productive. They know he's getting the football, and they still can't stop him. What was it, 149? I mean, that's absurd. I don't care how many times they throw you the damn ball and target you. To catch 149 balls, man, or whatever it was, 140-something, is ridiculous.
Yeah, that really is. I mean, that is absolutely filthy.
It's 149.
It makes no sense. And DeAndre Hopkins, along with Julio Jones and OBJ, it's a whole bunch of primetime players that can get off and get down in the National Football League. But if I'm looking for a dude to score touchdowns and move them chains at a high level, it's my nephew. And there's no nepotism, it's just real facts.
Okay, so I can agree with Keyshawn Johnson, but for me, since we're not talking about Julio Jones and it's just Michael Thomas and DeAndre Hopkins, if we were talking about Julio Jones, I take Julio Jones over DeAndre Hopkins and Mike Thomas. As a matter of fact, I take Julio Jones 1, DeAndre Hopkins 2, and then Mike Thomas 3. So that's definitely how that would go. But definitely overall, between Mike Thomas and DeAndre Hopkins, I have to go with DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, I have to go. Mike Thomas has some great stats last year, #1 stats last year, but I'm going to have to go with the guy, what was it, 2 years ago, that didn't drop one pass in the whole season. He didn't drop one ball. That's like Hall of Fame type numbers that you're putting up there. That's out of control. So let's continue.
Well,
Max,
listen,
the other thing that I would say to you is this.
Hold on, Max.
You've applauded New Orleans, they were your team to come out of the South, even though we've been saying all that we've been saying about Tampa Bay and the multitude of offensive weapons that Brady will have at his disposal. All right? Emmanuel Sanders going there, for example, is a very, very big deal to you. Why? Because Michael Thomas is already there. That's why. And guess what? He's also prolonged the career of Drew Brees, because without him, I think Drew Brees might have been gone already.
Well, nah, I wouldn't push it to that level. So Drew Brees broke a lot of records last year. Like some of them were Peyton Manning's records. So it kind of looks like Michael Thomas did help him out there, but I think Drew Brees would have been gunning the ball to anyone and would have been breaking those records. So let's continue.
Michael Thomas is a very good pick as the most clutch receiver. I would give the edge to Hopkins, but Keyshawn, you're arguing like best receiver. If you ask me really who the best receiver is, I have to go with Julio Jones. That's the guy I would.
Yep, definitely Julio Jones. And they're lucky that Antonio Brown's not playing, because it'd probably be Antonio Brown.
Overall, but it's most clutch.
I like Julio Jones, but I also know what Michael Thomas gives you. Okay, he doesn't drop the ball. You don't have to worry about that. He's picking balls up off his shoelaces. I mean, guys don't do that in the National Football League, Max. Not only that, again,
but
there is no receiver opposite of him. There is no receiver. He doesn't have Will Fuller opposite him.
Hold on, Keyshawn. I hear you. Not like Hopkins was in a great receiving core either. But the fact of the matter remains, and there's not a lot to choose from.
Will Fuller was on the field. Will Fuller is a threat to lift the coverage.
There's not a lot to choose from between the two. So then go to other things. While obviously DeAndre Hopkins had an excellent quarterback throwing him the ball, Michael Thomas had the most accurate quarterback who ever lived, basically, throwing him the ball.
But you make that quarterback better because you don't drop the balls, Max. You make.
Well, that's true, Keyshawn Johnson, but at the same time, like I said, I think Drew Brees, he would have been putting up those numbers whether Michael Thomas is there or not, because Drew Brees is a straight-up baller. He kind of fell off last year in the playoffs, but like I said, Drew Brees would put those numbers up regardless of who he had. He just happened to have one of the best receivers, or the best receiver in the league last year, in Michael Thomas. I think he'll do the probably same thing with Emmanuel Sanders, too. So let's continue.
Him better.
But no matter who Drew Brees is
called
throwing to,
catch radius. He can put it anywhere because of the catch radius. And so you make a quarterback look more superior in terms of the targets and the completion percentage than what they truly are sometimes.
And Max.
Yeah, but Drew Brees is accurate going to everyone. And also, we have to address the clutch. The clutch, guys, when the game's on the line. Michael Thomas is excellent. So is Hopkins. He does not drop the ball
Max,
ever.
The argument,
clutch.
Max,
actually, literally clutch. Max, he clutches
the argument isn't that DeAndre Hopkins isn't clutch. He's ridiculous. I watched him in the playoffs. I know what he can do. But I prefer my nephew over that. That's all I'm saying. It's like if you're drafting on a board, and you got Julio Jones, Michael Thomas, DeAndre Hopkins, all three of them, and one of them go, you ain't mad if the other one fall to you. You just as happy.
No doubt. What I'm saying is you're making the argument that Michael Thomas is a better overall receiver. I'm talking about the game on the line.
No, he's not.
Who do I want
to
go to? Hopkins.
But Max, to me, doesn't mean you have to draft him or like him. To me, he is. I like his route running. I like his catch radius. I like his toughness, his ability to compete at all levels all the time. That's what I look for. I don't get caught up in the statistical side of it because I can go any way on statistics and make an argument point based on how many receptions, how many targets, how many touchdowns, how many yards after the catch. I can do all of those sort of things. It's a matchup nightmare to have is all I'm saying.
If a man catches 274 passes over the last 2 years, and at least 80% of the time you target him, he's connected. I don't know how you get more clutch than that.
Well, you can get more clutch than that than by not dropping the ball in the season, which is what DeAndre Hopkins did, 2 years ago? So that kind of evens things up with the type of numbers that Michael Thomas put up last year. Kind of evens it up.
Well, what you're saying is He's always excellent. What I'm saying is...
what I'm saying is what the hell I just said.
The answer
you ain't got to interpret.
Yes, he does.
I'm not Max Kellerman. They don't have. I'm not Max Kellerman. America doesn't have to have interpreted what I say. They understand exactly what I said. Exactly what I said. Nobody needs an interpretation. What you're saying is what I'm saying is what I say.
Because you keep saying how good
you know, the only person that requires an interpretation is you.
Man,
only person that requires a translation is you.
Big clutches with